Under the bright Los Angeles lights, anticipation filled the air. The stadium roared with excitement as Shohei Ohtani stepped up to the plate for his third at-bat of the night. The Dodgers were trailing 3-1 to the Toronto Blue Jays, and tension rippled through the stands. Fans leaned forward, holding their breath, sensing that something special was about to happen. This wasn't just another at-bat, it was a moment charged with the electricity that only Ohtani could generate. Ohtani adjusted his helmet, tapped his cleats into the dirt, and took a deep breath. His eyes were locked on the pitcher, his body calm yet coiled like a spring ready to release. The Blue Jays pitcher knew what he was up against, a two-way superstar capable of changing the game with a single swing. The count started with a fastball low and away, but Ohtani didn't chase. The crowd's collective murmur rose, "He's seeing it well tonight." The next pitch came, 98 miles per hour, straight heat. Ohtani turned on it with that familiar, fluid motion that fans around the world had come to adore. The ball exploded off his bat, slicing through the night sky in a blur, a bullet liner. It wasn't a towering shot, but a screaming missile heading for the right center gap. The sound alone told everyone, Ohtani had squared it perfectly. The fans jumped to their feet as the ball rocketed toward the wall. The right fielder sprinted desperately, but the ball ricocheted hard off the fence before he could reach it. Ohtani was already around first, his stride powerful and precise. The crowd chanted, "Go, Shohei, go," as he slid into second with a booming double. Even though no one was on base, the stadium erupted as if he had hit a grand slam. The camera panned to his face, focused, unshaken, determined. He gave that small, humble nod toward the dugout, the one that said, "I'm just doing my job." His teammates clapped from the bench, smiles spreading all around. Mookie Betts shouted something in excitement, while Freddie Freeman waved his helmet from the on-deck circle. Even with the Dodgers still down by 2 runs, Ohtani's double had reignited the spark. Commentators couldn't contain their admiration. "That's pure Ohtani," one said. "He turns a 98 miles per hour fastball into a laser beam. You blink, and the ball's off the wall." Replays showed the slow-motion swing, the controlled power, the perfect timing, the poetry of mechanics meeting raw athleticism. It was a masterclass in hitting. Fans around the world were glued to their screens. Social media exploded instantly. Hashtags like #OhtaniPower and #BulletLiner began trending within minutes. Clips of the swing flooded X and Instagram. Even opposing fans couldn't deny the thrill of watching the Japanese superstar perform under pressure. In the Dodgers dugout, you could see the shift in energy. That hit was more than just a double, it was a statement. It reminded everyone that Ohtani was built for these moments. The Dodgers had been quiet through 5 innings, struggling to string hits together. But Ohtani's bullet ignited something. The next batter took the field with renewed focus. The camera lingered on Ohtani at second base, breathing steadily, scanning the field. The scoreboard glowed. Blue Jays 3, Dodgers 1. Bottom of the 6th. 1 out. The fans knew the comeback could begin right here. You could feel the hum in the air, the kind that only comes when greatness is within reach. The next batter, Freeman, stepped into the box. The pitcher tried to stay composed, but you could see the nervous rhythm of his breathing. Ohtani took a modest lead off second. The pitcher glanced back twice, wary. Everyone knew if Freeman connected, Ohtani would score. Freeman took ball 1, then fouled off a slider. The tension built. On the third pitch, he lined one softly into left. Ohtani was off like lightning, his stride smooth and fast. The throw came in, but there was no chance, he scored standing up. The Dodgers bench erupted as Ohtani crossed the plate. It was now 3-2, and suddenly the energy in Dodger Stadium hit another level. That run may not have tied the game, but it had shifted everything. You could sense it, the Blue Jays felt the pressure now. Ohtani's presence had tilted the momentum. Every camera zoomed in on him as he jogged back to the dugout, teammates slapping his back, fans chanting his name. "Ohtani, Ohtani," echoed through the park like a war cry. Even the commentators had to pause. "We're watching a player rewrite how baseball is played," one said quietly, almost reverently. It wasn't hyperbole. Ohtani's combination of humility, power, and precision had changed the very language of the sport. As the game continued, the camera kept cutting to Ohtani between innings. You could see him studying, analyzing every pitch thrown by the Blue Jays bullpen. He wasn't done. You could tell by his eyes, focused, sharp, as if the game were a puzzle waiting to be solved. Fans in the stands waved Japanese flags, children wore number 17 jerseys, and families smiled wide, phones out to capture the moment. Ohtani had a way of bringing everyone together: Dodgers fans, Blue Jays fans, even neutral baseball lovers. His performance transcended rivalry. Every time Ohtani came up to bat, even opposing pitchers seemed to feel the weight of the moment. He carried an aura that could fill an entire stadium. His third at-bat was proof of that magic, the kind that turns a simple hit into a story fans will remember years later. Meanwhile, in Japan, millions were watching live despite the time difference. Morning news anchors would later replay that bullet liner over and over, calling it another masterpiece in Ohtani's highlight reel. Kids across the country would mimic that swing in schoolyards the next day. Back in the stadium, Ohtani's name flashed on the scoreboard again as the seventh inning approached. The Dodgers had closed the gap. His double had been the spark, and now the crowd believed in the comeback. "We've seen this before," one fan shouted. "Ohtani always delivers." What makes Ohtani's moments so unforgettable isn't just his skill, it's his presence. When he steps up, you feel history hanging in the air. His bat speaks louder than any words could. That bullet liner wasn't a random hit, it was an exclamation point on a night when his team needed hope. By the eighth inning, the Dodgers had tied it up. Ohtani's double was the start of the rally. The camera showed him smiling faintly in the dugout, watching his teammates battle. Even in silence, he led them. His calm composure under pressure inspired the whole roster. The Blue Jays manager could only shake his head. "You can't give that man anything to hit," he muttered. But it was too late. Ohtani had already changed the game's rhythm. His at-bat had turned a quiet ballpark into a thunderous wave of belief. After the game, reporters gathered, microphones ready, hoping for words of glory. But Ohtani, true to form, just smiled humbly and said, "I was just trying to help the team. I'm glad it found a gap." A simple statement that carried the weight of a hero's performance. His teammates, however, weren't as quiet. Freeman laughed, saying, "Every time Shohei hits, it's like the ball's scared of him. It runs away." The dugout was filled with that contagious joy that only comes after witnessing greatness. Fans flooded social media, sharing clips with captions like, "He's not human," and "Ohtani does it again." Within hours, his swing became one of the most replayed highlights of the night. Commentators debated whether any other player in baseball could make that kind of impact so consistently. The post-game analytics confirmed it. The exit velocity of that liner was an astounding 112.4 miles per hour, one of the hardest hit balls of the night. But for fans, it wasn't about numbers. It was about the feeling. That sound, that motion, that moment. As Ohtani walked off the field after the final out, fans stayed standing, cheering as he lifted his cap in quiet acknowledgement. The scoreboard might have favored one side, but the night belonged to him. The memory of that bullet liner would linger long after the lights dimmed. Children in the stands waved, calling his name. Parents smiled, knowing they'd witnessed something special with their kids, a story they'd tell for years. That's the power of Shohei Ohtani. He doesn't just play the game, he connects generations through moments like this. The game ended with the Blue Jays narrowly holding the lead, but nobody left disappointed. Fans knew they had just seen Ohtani at his finest, focused, fearless, and unstoppable. His third at-bat wasn't just a hit, it was a reminder of why baseball is magical. Even opposing players admitted it. One Blue Jays pitcher said afterward, "You think you've got him figured out, and then he does that." It's humbling. That's the kind of respect Ohtani commands, not through words, but through action. By the time the stadium emptied, his name was echoing across the sports world. Every headline carried it. Every replay showed it. That third at-bat on October 29 wasn't just another highlight, it was another chapter in the legend of Shohei Ohtani. And as fans drove home under the Los Angeles night sky, one thought kept replaying in their minds: when Ohtani swings, you don't blink. Because in that instant, anything can happen, and usually, it does.